All right, so we have seen our intro video on what completing the square is. We just had a example video of completing the square just to see what that looks like, kind of a basic example. Now let's step it up a little bit and see if we can solve by completing the square with this example. All right, so when we complete the square, we don't want this -2, this c value over here, because we actually want to create our own c value. So all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides to get that to the other side. So we're looking at x squared minus 2x. I'm going to go ahead and add in plus, we want to create our own c value, equals 0 plus 2 is 2. As a reminder, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a blank space on each side, because we talked about how whatever we add to one side, we have to add to the other side. And if you put those spaces in at the same time, that just might be a nice little reminder for you. All right, so let's find a c value here that will complete this square, give us a perfect square trinomial. You guys remember how we start that out? You take your b value, and you divide it by 2, you get -1, and then don't forget we have to square that to complete the square. So -1 squared is a +1. Now if we add a 1 on the left, add a 1 on the right. All right, well now, let's keep going. This is a perfect square trinomial. What are our factors of 1 that add up to -2? Well, remember, we already know it's this guy right there. We discovered those patterns in our intro video. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump. I know it's going to be a -1, and we'd have 2 of them. So x minus 1 squared equals 2 plus 1 on the right side is 3. So we keep solving. The reason why we solve by completing the square is so that we can get this, which is easy to solve. You just square root and then get that number to the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. The opposite of squaring is square rooting both sides, leaving you with x minus 1, because the square root cancels out your square. And then square root of 3, now we don't know the square root of 3, so we're just going to leave that. But we have to remember that you're going to have 2 of them, a positive and a negative. Remember, all of our x squared equations have 2 answers. Or I should say most of them do have 2 answers. Those are your 2 x-intercepts. All right, so we keep solving. Let's go ahead and add 1 to both sides. So x equals, now we have a 1 and we have a plus or minus square root of 3. So let's go ahead and write the 1 first, and I'll talk about that. 1 plus or minus the square root of 3. 3. So is 1 a like term with a square root of 3? Well, these are not like terms, so they can't be combined together. So you can write your answer 2 ways. You can write it this way, 1 plus or minus the square root of 3. That actually is 2 answers, so I want to show you what this looks like if you were to write it out. You can say 1 plus the square root of 3, and then the other answer is 1 minus the square root of 3. These would both be acceptable answers. I do tend to leave mine like this a lot, but I just want to make sure you guys know that this 1 plus or minus square root of 3 is the same thing as 1 plus and 1 minus. It's 2 separate answers right there.